Talkin Shop. We're doing something special for you guys today. It looks a little bit different because we're recording in a different space. Hi, welcome to my living room. And Ben's living room, it looks like.
That's the laundry. Look at, if you guys want to do some laundry.
Oh, that's very convenient. It takes up way less space than mine.
It's also where my cocaine bear pop lives too.
Wait, only the cocaine bear? You have to explain why only the cocaine bear lives in there.
So I love that one so much. It just came out, and I don't want to take it out of the box, but my wife doesn't want those things just being everywhere. So I have to. It just kind of lives up there and helps me do laundry. Motivates me.
All right, let's discuss this real fast because we've opened that box of discussion. Funko Pop. I have friends that are every specter of the collecting rainbow for those things, all the way from I have one to say I have one to I sneak them in the house and pretend like they've always been there.
Yeah.
Where are you on the spectrum of Funko popping?
I mean, I hide them in my laundry. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be that guy. And then I started doing like the WWE ones and then the Haunted Mansion ones because I'm a massive Disney World fan. And I try to keep it to that. Like that's where I kind of set my parameters on these are the two fandoms that I will do this for. And if you can kind of choose and say to yourself, you know, I'm gonna stick to the two those ones, then you do okay. But then every once in a while, a cocaine bear comes out, and you go, fine. Mm-hmm. You know what I really like them for? I really like them for this. What I like getting them signed because you're at the conventions, and after a while, you know, especially if you want to do a commission, you can't really. I don't know. I've got boxes of comics, but they end up in the boxes. Like, so I'll get friends to like my buddy Ian Nichols, who does the Tick, right? Yes. I had him draw the Tick on the Funko Pop box for me. Instead,
that's way more special. I like that idea.
Yeah, and so those have been really fun. My buddy Jason Meents, he's an excellent artist. He does all these kind of like kid versions of every superhero and everything, and he's done a Gambit for me. But I wouldn't like buy just a Gambit by myself. But yeah, I recommend if you're going to buy the pops because you're going to buy them anyway, get artists to do commissions on the box. It's super fun.
That's a brilliant idea. I like it a lot. Have you run into this problem where people have seen that you have pops at your house? So then they feel like that's the thing they have to gift you all the time. So you end up with like all square things for Christmas. And you're like, I think I know what I'm getting.
It sounds like that happens to you. Is that a Jen problem at the moment?
It's a problem that I like, honestly, because I don't. Here's the problem I have as a retailer and in my life in general. I don't like flowers because they die. Yeah. I don't like jewelry because I always forget to wear it. So it's kind of like purposeless for me. I don't like chocolate because I'm sugar free. So there's not a lot of things to buy for me. So that leaves collectibles, right? And then I tell people don't buy those for me because I can get them wholesale. So
you're right. Yeah, exactly.
So there are things I won't buy for myself. Like I won't buy pop for myself, but people do know the characters that I do like. So they fill in the gaps for me. So that's kind of nice. I maybe 2 or 3 a year that show up at my house, and I'm happy to have those. But I have a feeling that you probably know somebody in your life that you can probably mention that people know they collect something. Like Mima collects elephants, and then that's all they get gifted for all their life, even if they just like remotely liked one elephant.
There's a phenomenal SNL sketch about that Cecily Strong did with it was Pandora jewelry, where it was like the one thing you know about your loved one, get them a Pandora jewelry with that on it. So mine's Haunted Mansion. What's the Funko Pop that you're like, if it comes out, it's going right in the
I like everything Captain America or Captain America adjacent. So there is actually locally somebody that does the repops where they take a pop and they remake something. And so I've got from them, they made for me the thing that I really wanted, which was a Bucky Barnes, but when he's living in, Germany or wherever, and he's shopping for plums. So mine literally is Bucky Barnes with plums in a bag. Things like that are like they don't make. Like my next one I want to have them make is a Stevel Rogers from the Secret Empire storyline. They didn't make that one, so I want that.
Can you hold on 1 second? I want to show you something.
Ooh,
Oh, hold on.
ooh!
Hold on.
He's gonna tease me with something super cool in Captain America.
It is not Captain America. I'm sorry.
Okay, just something really cool.
It is. My wife is a wonderful, wonderful person, and even though she doesn't love that I have these things everywhere, she does. She did make me a Harry Weiss exclusive Funko. That's from my comic Seance Room.
Oh, that's amazing!
Yeah, it looks just like him too. That was incredible.
What a sweet thing!
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
So, see, that's perfect gift giving right there. She gets millions of points for the perfect gift give right there.
She's pretty great. Actually, so great that we got married just recently.
I know. I'm so happy for you guys.
Thanks. Super low key. 2 moms, and that was it. Justice of the peace. Kept it real simple. That way, no one can get mad if they weren't invited. I was like, because people would be like, "Hey, where was he invited?" I'd be like, "Don't worry, dude. No one got invited. You're part of everyone, so you're good."
Okay, you have to tell us the story. How did you meet?
Tinder.
Really? You're a success story for Tinder.
Yeah, I want.
It's amazing.
I did. Yeah, I want to go on and be like when they start to try to legitimize. When they realize like they got to do something different, and they're like,
yeah,
hey, we got to find people who actually met each other and didn't just give each other crabs. Like we actually need to figure out what these. And so I want to go on and get like a sponsorship deal. Be like, oh yeah, we met on Tinder and it was just love at first swipe, man. That was, but yeah. And then 9 years ago.
Oh, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. All right. So side note about this, Tinder, I think is really good for people who are emotionally in touch. Hear me out.
Sure. Okay.
You can tell a lot about the subtext of the pictures, the order in which that they were chosen. You can tell a lot about like what's in the like what story is that person trying to tell you in that 5-picture system, right?
I always thought it was just one picture, so you do have a little more input than just one picture.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm an old married person. I've been married for like 31 years, so I don't know.
That's fine. I'm glad you didn't just admit accidentally. You're like, yeah, no, it's actually 6 pictures, Ben. Edit that, Kyle.
Everything I know is from TV or movies.
That's we went to Disneyland Paris just recently, and Pirates of the Caribbean broke down while we were on it, which is great because it's a walk-off, which is like every Disney World fan's dream is to do a walk-off.
Yeah.
Actually go off the ride, through the ride, right? And while we were there, we were talking to these Spanish girls, like from Spain, Spanish girls, right next to sitting, and they were like, "This is just like Friends," and that's how we started talking with them because they were like learned from TV, and then we ended up talking, having a wonderful conversation, and then leaving the Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's just a concrete building. Once you get past the pirate who's like hanging out,
lost all its magic.
No magic. I refuse to go on the underground tour. I don't want to know. Nope, don't want to know. I don't want to know how it's all just a glorified carnival. I just want to live in the delusion.
Me too.
So, anyway, hi, Jen. I feel like in the last 9 minutes we've covered 50 topics already.
Oh, you have no idea how I do this. This is like, as I like to say, you can find out a lot of facts that are interview facts, like just from Wikipediaing or Googling or all that stuff. I don't want to have a Google interview. I want to have something like gets people to know you and give them facts about you that can always remember and be like, oh, I like that dude. That dude has a secret cocaine bear pop in his laundry room. I gotta go buy all the stuff he makes now because he's my spirit animal.
my spirit animal is a bear that wants to do cocaine. Have you seen the movie, by the way?
I haven't, because it had such mixed reviews from people that I like in my friends group that I trust to say things. Because if a critic says they hate something, I know I'm going to love it because I like things that they don't like. But yeah, in this case, it was so mixed that they were like, they loved it. It was the best thing ever. Or, oh my gosh, I had to turn it off after 1 minute. So I was like, I'm going to watch the other million shows that I want to watch before I get to that.
This will be my little push for you to try to watch it. Is that the best way to describe this movie? Is it's a B movie with a movie execution, with e-ticket execution, right? Like it's everything about it is a B movie, everything, and yet all of it is executed so incredibly well.
Okay, I'll probably watch it then, because when I was growing up, I would sneak over to my best girlfriend's house and we would watch every B-rated horror flick there was, you know, like mostly animal driven, not necessarily the people stabby ones, but like Killer Bees and Piranha and all of those millions of ones that they made. All those.
I want to go just shy of saying you're almost guaranteed to like it if you were into those movies, because I personally it's what's her name from Elizabeth
I do the same thing with actresses' names and actors' names. I cannot ever.
Everybody yelling at their computers. Elizabeth something. Anyway.
What else is she in? We're gonna play this game. What else is she in?
Wet Hot American Summer. She directed the new Charlie's Angels. She was in those karaoke movies.
Kyle's yelling at us from the other side of the screen. Kyle, pop on in and say what it is.
Elizabeth Banks. Hey, Elizabeth Banks.
Fun fact about Kyle: he's a trivia master, or more to be exact. He has tried out for Jeopardy multiple times and made it through the first and second round, or first round. He just there's something about the way the camera setup is that you have to be able to like figure out, and his brain just doesn't want to.
Yeah,
is my guess, because he's super smart.
Kyle, real quick in the little box while we're talking, thoughts on Cocaine Bear, or if you didn't even see it. But this would be, yeah, I would. It's I mean, Evil Dead, 2, Army of Darkness, 2 of my all-time favorite movies, hands down, right? And then it's like, if Sam Raimi now, with the budgets he has now, was able to remake those movies with panache and comedy, and yet still have that B movie execution. I'm waiting for the crystal meth chipmunk. Oh, buddy, the strike kept that from. No, it's not really a thing, but that's a good joke.
No. That doesn't roll off the tongue the way Cocaine Bear does.
No, it doesn't, right? Or like
how about that Oxycontin Owl? How's that?
Oxycontin Owl, bath salt alligator. Some other, just
help us, everyone. Come up with new names.
Stoner Sloth. Is that true? It did. This is actually pretty good. I think Stoner Sloth is also good too. It would just that movie drags, man.
I actually can see someone pick this up as a really good webcomic idea.
For a webcomic, the problem, what sucks? Not being able to draw. That sucks.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because I have this, I wanted to do all the animals of the famous horror movie characters, right? Like the Headless Horseman's horse. Pennywise has a clownfish. And like they just sit in a diner and kind of talk and complain about everything and all this great stuff. And so I had a couple done by this great artist named Kelsey Jo Silva out in Colorado. And we did 2, like 4-pagers or 8-pagers. And eventually I was going to maybe like collect them all, but they would have been such a good webcomic if I could draw. I can't. And that is why I paid Ben Temple-Smith to do my new comic, which is out right now.
The Benz, we're going to get there. Settle down. I love it. You're like, okay, fine. He's like, what is that?
Just a flower.
A flower. Eating flowers. Perfect. I love it so much when people are like going, I wonder if Miss Jen remembers what we're doing. Miss Jen knows.
No,
Okay.
I was just trying to. Oh, Miss Jen always knows. Now I was just trying to give you
No.
clean transitions. You know,
Right.
I listen to podcasts and watch interviews. Um, I'm savvy.
You're savvy. Okay, I wanted to go down a little bit of that trail when you're talking about like web comics and stuff. I was gonna point you into one, and the rest of our people are watching. Just if they like your kind of like it's a little bit horror, but also just a little bit funny. Um, there's a comic that's out that's based on this, but if you just want to go enjoy it, is what it started as. It's called Stranger Ranger.
Stranger Ranger.
And it's on Instagram is where it started out its life, and they're just one page gags, right? And he looks like a 50s or 60s park ranger. He has a little girl who it seems very inappropriate for him to be hanging out with her kind of age, who looks also from that same era, and then a little beaver. And every gag is about him trying to explain to us, the audience, about how you should behave in a situation you might find yourself in a national park in order to be safe. But it's always the wrong advice and results in one or more of him himself, the little girl, or the beaver, or all, or everybody that's in the scene, the people he's trying to teach, all dying. So it's
Jen, how did you find this one?
actually, I read the first one through Scout, who picked it up as they've only had like 2 single shot comic books about it, but I know there's a lot more content that's on the Instagram feed for it. That's just easy fun.
Oh, that's cool. But what's the Instagram handle? Just Stranger Ranger?
I think so. So it's sorry, I just like pointing out kind of crazy stuff that's person adjacent that you might enjoy.
Well, this is all, these are the things that you always wonder, like, how do you find new and exciting things? And you just ask your friends. I'm actually going to pull it up right now and follow it, especially because I also just have a book that's coming out with Scout as well, so I'm sure I will run into them at some point.
Aha.
Did you know that? Did I tell you that?
I don't know. I'm gonna make you tell me all about it though.
Stranger Ranger comic. Yep.
You can see what the look of it is, the feel that it's just like, this looks so sweet and wholesome. No, it's really nuts.
Oh, fantastic. Oh my God, that's really good. Oh, all right, I'm already in.
Sorry about the rabbit trail I'm going to put you on.
That's okay.
All right, so I know you primarily, like your first book series that I read of yours was Seance Room, which is really beautiful and awesome. Would anybody know work from you from before that?
No, the only thing that was coming out concurrently with that was the Mad Cave. I get to say that I was the first person to write for Mad Cave Studios who wasn't Mark London, right? Like now.
Really?
Yes, I was. Before they were sort of this was before Nottingham and all that stuff, and I got to be the first person. It was a book called RV9, and
I remember that one.
You do or don't?
Yeah, we carried that for sure.
You did. All right. Yeah. So I wrote that one. That was me. And that was happening at the same time, and that was good fun. And then that would be it from the early days, because I feel like little by little I've been just adding, right? Like we got Jen, I really thought that I was done with Seance Room after the first 4, in all honesty. Like I kind of yeah, I just kind of figured, I was like, people don't want they want different, right? Like I don't know. I I don't know why in my head I was like, this thing that people seem to be enjoying, they don't want any more of it. I don't know how that worked.
It's easy to get there though, right? Because I don't know, like, this is a great thing for the audience to hear, is like there might be a huge amount of people that are fans of a comic book, but they just talk amongst their friends, right? They don't ever reach out to the creative team and just give them or even like the company and say, I really like this thing, keep making this thing. And it doesn't take anything but like to go on a creator's page and to be like, I like it. This is my kind of jam. Keep making this. You kind of work in this like just like void of information, and all you know are what the sales numbers are, which isn't 100% representative of what the fan base might be, right? Because someone might buy the comic book and hand it to their friend who hands it to their friend. You might not ever see how many people are enjoying a thing. You just see what the parent company says, like, oh, we ordered this and the second copy had this many orders. That's what you get.
Yeah, and on top of that, I think, it's then on the other end, right? It's like, oh well, why don't we say things to these publishers and everything? It's like, well, our lives are all insane, and I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just don't think about it because you're thinking about making rent or helping your loved ones in time of need. Like we have all this stuff going on, and so I totally get it, and yeah, I think that ends up going a little bit by the wayside, because I really try to make an effort to so I just read the Scar comic, the Scar, that IDW.
So good, right? Better than it should be.
You read it, and it was it was better than it had any right to be, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
this because they could have just shit out an IP and been but it was like the art was not only evocative of the original material but also elevated it. The writing was smooth, and so I reached out to both, and I don't personally know either of those people who worked on that book. The writer or the artist there. So I reached out and I said, hey, you guys, thank you for making a great book, and it, I'm sure it I know the writer reached back. He made him feel pretty good. So, but yeah, it is true, right? It's like we just don't have the sometimes. Yeah, but do it. Hey, listen, everyone who's watching right now, send a message to whoever you are currently reading, unless it's like Brian K. He doesn't need that shit. Brian K. Vaughan already knows. Good. It's not going to push the needle on anything that he is doing at this moment. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I just messaged Dan Slott. No, it's like, yes, he's good. He doesn't need it. Reach out.
And if you're shy and you don't think that they want, like, you're worried that a creator won't want like a direct message or something, it's easy enough to go and find them on social media and just follow them. But find something that they posted about the thing that you like and just repost it and say, yes, I love this thing. They'll see that someone else has shared the thing that they love, and then all of your friends will see that it's something worth going to look at. It helps even more.
And I can guarantee you that even I notice who is liking my stuff, and I notice who is all this, even if I don't answer back to everyone, like I notice. And to that end, we just, so the 4 issues, I'm not trying to jump ahead on this one or anything.
No, we're ready. Do it.
The 4 issues of Seance Room that are coming out currently through SourcePoint Press, I kickstarted them originally, right? Mm-hmm. Because just the cost of making them is incredible task. And there was one gal who her everything went out. I was like, done. I finally finished. I got all the backers out. I got everything done. Thrilled. And then I get a message from this one girl who backed it, and I know through social media. I don't think we've met maybe once, right? And then she's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like tell you this, but it didn't come. And it's like, I know who she is. I know for a fact there's no like scam element here, right? Like, sure. This is just a person who didn't get their thing. And because she commented, and because it's like, not only was it like oh my God, please don't feel bad about this whatsoever. Like I also put in a whole bunch of extra stuff that she didn't get in her package. Like it just added a bunch of stuff into her box.
Became her extra hero.
Because she had been commenting all that stuff. So I don't know if liking someone's stuff and following makes them feel good, it might also just get you some extra cool shit sometimes. You don't know.
Good advice. I found that that's the truth.
Right? At the shop, right? Like you probably have people that and you're like, you never you're always awesome. Let me do you 1 or 2 favors here. Like it feels good. It feels good to do that kind of stuff.
I might sneak people's my favorite whatever I'm reading.
You really? That's kind of fun. Like you're like, you're gonna like this. Whomp.
You must, or I have been known before to be like, you have to read this. Just
I'm gonna
bring it back when you're done.
I'm
You
gonna
must.
rent Cocaine Bear for you and somehow send you a link.
There you go. I think it's just free. I think I have it with like
It's on one of I think it's on NBC Universal maybe.
Peacock or something.
Yeah,
That's Peacock.
but
Perfect. All right, what are you working on right now? What are you excited about?
so well, I'm in two phases right now. One is the other end of the working on things, which is they're coming out, right? Like
Right.
they've been worked on. It's now been so 4 new issues of Seance Room are coming out right now. I think the last one is in previews this month, if I'm not mistaken, or last month. And one of them was Ben Templesmith, who is just one of I really like him, a great guy, and he agreed to do an entire issue for me. So he did the interior,
Oh gosh.
which is
Woo.
yeah. I mean, and Ben. First of all, being that we are both Ben Smiths, right? Like we
Yep.
that's a team. But I was always a massive fan of his.
There's
And
nobody that does the same style art as him. I will just say I don't.
correct. So
I
that
don't
and,
really.
and one of the fun things is speaking about like the behind the scenes of Disney World is I actually got to see sort of the process of how Ben's work becomes Ben Templesmith, right? Like, and I'm not going to give away any of his secrets, but it's really cool to see like how he textures and how he layers, and then getting to actually see that firsthand, and then getting to see that on a character that I wrote, right? And I just happened to catch him at the right time, and it's great. It's just the coolest. I have um, the cover that he did. I have and I'm there's nothing in this world that will make me get rid of that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
original. Yes,
yeah,
man.
right. So so then there's that, and then the hack slash, which so Tim Seeley let me do a hack slash crossover, um, and all right, like I don't know how much I can say about but he let me do a hack slash crossover, which was awesome, right? And it was the most recent thing that hack slash had done in like a long time. So I all of a sudden kind of got this big push from hack slash fans who it was like I walk around when I'm telling people about it, and I'm like, oh, I got Ben Templesmith, and we're doing a hack slash crossover. And to me, as like a horror comics fan, like these are two of the coolest possible things that could possibly happen in my life, right? And then you realize that not everyone is as obsessed with those things as you, and then that deflates the bubble a little bit. You're like, oh, it's hack slash, and you're like cool, man, great, good for you, and you're like, no, you don't.
Tim Seeley, who's that?
Yeah, right. Well, that boggles my mind too. Is like the guy who's written everything for every company for the past 20 years. I don't know. So the short on that one is Seance Room is kind of like Harry right here. He psychologically sort of tears people down. You enter the Seance Room, and one of his ghosts comes to life, and they sort of Twilight Zone you into maybe a new perspective. And Cassie, Hack, and Vlad do the same thing, but with their fists instead of psychology. And so it was kind of fun to go like, well, whose would work better? And that was the premise, right? Because when you do a crossover, you kind of have to make sure that you're doing justice to both properties, and at the same time understanding like hack slash is the bigger property here. So but I don't want to disabuse my own characters in favor of like the thank you that Tim deserves for letting me use these characters. So it was a funny line to walk, and I think it was done justice. So I hope you guys like it. And then 2 other issues, one by Alex Cormack, who does Road of Bones and Sea of Sorrows for IDW. He did Stink for Comics Tribe. He currently has a book coming out with David Papose from Mad Cave. Just a remarkable artist, remarkable human. Uh, One of those guys who you're just like, there's no justice in the world that he doesn't already draw for all of the companies, right? Um, and then lastly, this dude Drew Roush, who lives in California, and he's got like this the Beetlejuice the animated show, right?
Okay.
He's got that style. So those 4 issues, they are currently coming, uh, and then I'm working on a Seance Room novel as well, which is other stories of the Seance Room that I didn't have to uh, go broke paying an artist for.
Yeah. So this is your solution to I can't draw, but I can draw with my words.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so that's in the works. I have a book called The Book of Dave that just came out. Did
How'd I
you?
miss this?
I don't know. It was on. It was on. We did the Kickstarter for it, and we got the Kickstarter, and so yeah, my first official novel.
All right. So is it terribly hard to make yourself think differently in the style that you have to do for novelizations when once you've had yourself kind of like trained for thinking in the comic book term?
Uh, as long as you like, you get to do different things that where it's like it's kind of the opposite. Where comics, you're trying to be as succinct as humanly possible. It's the
Mm-hmm.
opposite with novels. Like you want to get deeper into the minutia, but at the same time, I really think that if you write novels, you should write comics first because it does give you that sense of uh, you don't the sort of the masturbatory element that can happen when you're sitting uh, and writing a novel and you forget that there's an audience who's going to read this as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it because it makes you like, and it should make you happy, right? Of course. And
Yeah.
um, but with comics, like every single thing like that, the entire comic that Ben Templesmith did is 22 pages of actively trying to anticipate the reader's experience, and it's a constant play on the actual physical experience that you will have with a thing that was created before you were there, and how and what's the psychology of that thing, and how can we circumvent certain experiences and maybe massage them and give you an experience that, even though it's stagnant in one way, is pregnant with the moment you're in another way. And is that possible? Like that was the entire point of that. And with comics, like, and I don't know if you know, but I came from theater. That's where I started. Like
Oh,
I did musicals, and I traveled the country doing all that stuff. And so when I'm writing, it's like I still, there's that part of my mind that's still like, if I was reading this right now, how would that experience be? And if I jumped this panel here, even though it feels like it's cool and it feels like it's doing the thing I want it to, how is it going to actually be received? I think about that all the time because theater, right? Like you're always, when you rehearse, and you're always doing this. And then when you get the live audience, like some things are going to change because you're realizing that something didn't hit. And maybe that's 1 out of every 6 things, but like still you get that chance to revise, but you don't get to do that with the comics. Really, you just get to learn from the last one and hopefully step up your game for the next. And but I'm always thinking, like, whether it's the novels or the comics, I'm always thinking, how is this experience for the person who's imbibing it? Like, because I always want things to feel of the moment, right? Like ephemeral,
sure.
even if it's already printed and it's not going to change, um, and there's ways to do that. I think like I'm a huge fan of the thought train, right? Like
Okay.
where
Explain that.
so when a character is talking, when we talk, we don't talk in exact sentences, and then the next sentence gets spoken and the next sentence gets spoken. Um, and there's parts of us that we I would say the thing that we do the most as people, and I just did it myself, which is you're going down this way and then
Yep.
and we do that. Like I'll even say, like, Oh, Jen, that's like, oh, that's a really cool color. You know what? I know why I like that color shirt because that thought, you know, what I mean? Like, oh, well, my
Hmm.
mom used to wear that exact same color, and I love that color on her. Because there's in our heads, we don't finish sentences. We almost finish sentences just for the benefit of the other person, right? Because by the time in our heads we've already finished that, we've already moved to the next thing, and those are the types of things that keep something alive in a story, and I love those. Um, but yeah, so Book of Dave is I'm actually shipping out there's a bunch of rewards there on the ground that I have to ship out.
Ooh.
Um, and then I have a book coming out with Scout too called Ghosts on the Water with Alex Cormick.
Oh, wow.
Yep, yep,
Awesome.
yep. So it's a 3-issue miniseries. Um, think Moana meets Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. So fun for the whole family. It's like a PG-13. Um, Alex really likes Indiana Jones. And one of the things that I like to do is every time I work with an artist, I ask them, what do you like to draw? Because you're going to get the best product and you are not going to burden that artist with having to look at the shit you want him to draw that he hates.
Sure.
Because he's the one who's going to look at it the longest.
And what do you mean by what they like to draw? Are you talking about style, or I like to draw pigs?
Either, right? Like if someone came to me and said I like to draw pigs, I'd be like, great, let's figure out a pig comic and then work around that, and it's going to be a better product, you know. And yes, I still paid Alex for this experience because he's a working artist and he
Yep.
deserves to get that. Um, but it was collaborative where I was like, we kind of knew we wanted to work together, but it was just about what. And then he goes, well, I'm really into Indiana Jones right now. I love the action, kind of that fun action that was kind of for the whole family, and of a very 80s time where that was the thing where you have these like family friendly action movies, right? That were a little more than themselves, not like Fast and Furious. Like they actually had something there, and so that was the genesis for it, and then we just worked from there, and it kind of um, moved into this place where we got Mad Mac, who's this Jason Momoa type, and he runs the ship, and he's trying to find his older brother who got lost to the sea, to the storm, um, when they were young, and
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
it's not something that's just happened. He's trying the impossible journey.
Yeah, and there is a moment in this book that came from a true story, that has stuck with me for years. Uh, and I can't, and I will have to tell you off air because it will ruin the book.
Okay. Oh, because of the inspiration
Yeah,
ending of the story. Yeah.
but it sucks because this story is not the inspiration story. Jen is so cool. Like I want to tell everyone, but I can't because it'll just immediately ruin it.
I bet you that. So this might be an inspiration for people to definitely buy and read the whole book and see if they can figure out where the inspiration came from. Which is, I mean, I love those kinds of things. And you're like, let me see if I can figure this out for myself.
Reverse engineer the inspo.
Yeah.
And then my very last thing, which I can talk about, is I'm writing a movie script right now that was picked up and optioned.
Okay. So I want to you said this before we started.
Yeah.
This is where my mind goes. So when someone says they're writing a script that got picked up, is this an original script idea that you have written that was made as a script for film or TV?
Yes.
Okay. So not based on something else that exists.
No.
Okay.
No. It was I pitched it with the whole process to the studio, and they make primarily westerns, and so I reached out and I said, listen, I think you guys would be it would behoove you to make a horror western, and I have your movie. And they said, I think it would. And so I am currently working through the first draft of it, which it'll get revised and worked through and everything. But pressure's kind of off a little bit with the WGA and SAG strike. I'm not WGA, and I 100% obviously I support everyone who is fighting for what they deserve and their fair share, more than fair share. The production company is a SAG production company, though, so they do work with SAG and PGA and all the so they have to be respectful of that, which gave me a little more time to then work on the script and make it really solid. Where the idea, and I can tell you this, the idea is 1980s slasher that takes place in 1880s Old West. We have come up with our very own new killer character. Has his own weapon and everything, and kind of a very like Jason has been the analog in a lot of ways, especially because mid to later Jason, with the supernatural element, and just being honest about that up front too, not changing that midway. Don't get me wrong, I love him.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But we're going into the movie too, like it's the way we've been approaching it. Like I've been watching a ton of Westerns lately in a way that I never have before. And going like, what are the things that make this a Western? Like, what are the things that make this not only of a genre, but also just watchable? Like, right? Like, because same thing with horror. There's stuff in horror that it makes it the genre, but it's almost like in spite of the genre, or it's become a joke of the genre, and it no longer is really applicable anymore. It's like, all right, let it go. It's not working. But so watching Western movies, and so we're approaching it like if there was no killer just annihilating people, this would be a really good Western movie, right? Like even without that,
That's a tough road to walk.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. But at the same time, like the Romero movies, right? Like when you watch them, there's a social element to it that kind of guides everything. That's the thing about Western movies, is there's always a social element that's really guiding these things. And a really defining, got to wrap up in 5 minutes. All right, for sure. I'll take a wheat wrap, turkey, and mayonnaise. So with Westerns, it's always the fear of what is yours and what you've worked for being taken from you. That's kind of if you had to sort of sum up a lot of them into a condensed little notion, that's what I've gathered. And in horror, there's not a whole lot of difference there, right? Like if you look at your life, like you don't want someone taking that, and you will fight tooth and nail to keep that. People do the same thing with their homestead, right? Like there's a lot of similarities, and at the end of the day, I think this thing is going to be, and it could. I have a very good feeling about it, and I'm pretty negative about a lot of things. So I do believe that this is something that people will actually be able to see. I'm getting paid for it, which is nice. That rarely happens ever, and I think everyone's going to like it.
I do think it'd be neat. Override the normal rules that exist for horror with Old West rules for what exists for Old West story, because for horror it's almost always the same tropes and themes, right, and rules. Don't ever say I'll be back. Don't ever kiss a girl for the first time. Don't go in the cabin alone. Don't say you're going to stay in the car. There's like things that are always the same. But if you don't have cars or cell phones or
don't get on the horse. One of the biggest things we bucked right away was saying the horror movie thing. It's especially with the 1980s slashers. Again, 1980s slasher is kind of the focus, right? In terms of like the humor, in terms of like a lot of the different things. Picking the best parts, not the things that are unintentionally funny because they're so bad, which I also do like. But there's a thing where it has to happen in one night, right? Like the stakes are so that if a person doesn't survive the night, they don't get to win, right? The whole point is surviving the night. And right off the bat, I knew, I was like, this is not one of those movies, because you have to impose these sort of arbitrary stakes, and then you're only watching a movie to watch the kills, right? That's when you watch a movie and go, it's got good kills, and you're not watching the movie to watch the movie anymore. So, like, that's one of the things that I just right out the gate, I was like, this is not. There's no. The suspense is not time based. It's intention based, and it's character based, as opposed to, we got till sun up. So
Right. Love it.
I'm doing a lot of shit. I'm doing a ton of. I don't know.
I'm telling you, you're not underachieving in any way.
I am Cocaine Bear.
All right, tell everybody where's the right places to be following you for, making sure they don't miss your Kickstarters, or when things are coming out, or when you're going to drop more information about the movie. Where's the right places?
Instagram at Mr. Ben AU, MRBENAU. You can always friend me on Facebook. I haven't jumped over to Blue Sky yet. Do you have any experience with that, Jen?
I just got on because I finally got a code. I don't know what this deal is. Maybe it's so that they don't end up with like the way Hive was, where it got overwhelmed and then quit for a week, and then when it came back, no one cared anymore. Maybe this way of controlling the frenzy of added people.
Well, this is kind of the thing, is I'm waiting to see which, like, I don't want to get invested in a thing only for it to be forgotten again, like the Hive. Like, there's too many of these. I don't. Anyway, at Mr. Ben AU on Instagram, very reliable. And yeah, go to your shops, ask them for Seance Room, ask them for Ghosts on the Water, and do yourself a favor and send a message to someone who you're reading, because you never know, they might really appreciate it, like Jen said.
That's right. Wise words. All right, everybody, thank you so much. I'm just going to apologize many times to Kyle, who is on our production team, who's just like, Miss Jen, you blew your time. And I'm like, but this was way cooler than just half an hour. So, all right, everybody. We'll see you guys next time on Talkin Shop. Bye.